Hey, now I'm sitting here at Noble Ale Works, and I'm with a young gentleman. Well, not so young, but a guy I like, Jerry. I have no idea what the hell your last name is.
Kolbly.
Huh? Is it?
Kolbly with a K.
Yeah, we're just gonna stick with Jerry.
Yeah,
or Jerome if I'm in a happy
Jeremiah.
mood.
Yeah.
Is it Jeremiah?
No, it's not.
I was gonna say, circle the wagons. Glad to be here, and it's neat to see. We've doing a lot of these interviews, and it's neat to see younger, smaller breweries starting up. You guys are pretty new. How long have you been around?
We've had the tasting room open for a year. We just brewed our first batch yesterday, so I guess we're really brand new.
It's a weird hybrid.
I got to take my diapers off now. I think I'm ready to take
them off. Big boy pants? Yeah. Pull-ups. We'll get you there. So maybe some underoos or some granimals. But
at my age, and maybe put them back on.
Yeah, exactly. That is really the circle of life. You start with diapers and you end with diapers. That's just how it always works. But, fun. Anyway, so yeah, that's an interesting point, though, is that you guys started a way I think a lot of these smaller breweries do now, which is you have the tap room and then you were contract brewing, I believe, right? How is that process of contract brewing? Did you get control over it?
Yeah, in the beginning we looked at a couple other breweries contract, but they weren't going to allow us to get onto their system. They just wanted our recipes, and what I wanted was to get onto a system, showcase what we can do personally, just basically almost like having a satellite brewery.
Right.
So it worked out that way. So it's nice. We came out, had our first beer was the Alpha Red, and it was very well received. And we said, well, let's keep doing this. And they were kind enough to let us have one fermenter in the house, and so every 2 weeks we brewed in there.
That's great. And where were you?
It was Dale Brothers in Upland.
Dale Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hell of a drive, huh?
Yeah, but it was the only one that let us get on their system.
Right. So worth it.
It was worth it. It was small. There's a 10-barrel system, so we didn't have the volume getting out, but we picked up some really key accounts. Because of that, we picked up the Honda Center, which was a good thing.
That's
a
amazing.
big thing. That's a big account for us. So, and it was the red that went in our first beer we brewed. So that's actually another thing that helped us out. We have a 15-barrel brew house here.
Right. You just put that in.
Yeah. We just completed everything last week.
As we sit here, you're on your second batch.
We are cleaning to get ready for our second batch. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. You just got to feel like such a proud papa.
It's weird to see. Yesterday I came back. We brewed yesterday morning. I came back last night and saw beer in the tank. It's still weird to me because it feels like the journey's been so long, and
right.
It feels like I started this thing before I could even drink. It seems that long, which is
couldn't possibly be that long.
Exactly. It feels that way.
I know that the cities run slow, but that's a whole other kettle of fish right there. But it's got to be interesting for you seeing how this is going to grow, like being really in the infancy right now. It's funny, we talked to Kim Jordan a few weeks ago and Jim Cook, and I think when you talk to those people, like if they were to flash forward 20 years from when they started, they couldn't have imagined it.
Yeah.
Sitting here now, do you have visions of what it's going to become, or are you just excited to see where it goes?
We have a growth level we want to hit eventually. I really don't want to become somebody bigger than what I really want, where I really want to go. Like my goal is to get to maybe 50 barrels and that's it. I don't want to do a 120-barrel brew house. I just want to be able to maintain our beers and the quality that we're brewing them. But I know that we're going to grow fast because of the marketing that we did for that whole year. We've done a couple events in LA, which I've seen you guys at, and that market is going to. We're going to explode in that market.
Yeah.
And every event I've done there, I've gotten 8 calls or emails, at least. Just hey, we saw you, want your beer, and it's a great feeling. I just got a call last night from a local restaurant switching out to go to craft beer, and I congratulated them. I was like, thanks for the phone call. Congratulations for making that change. It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see if you stick with it, you're going to see a new dynamic in your.
Did they just call to tell you, or do they actually want some beer?
They want beer.
Hey Jerry, guess what? We're getting some New Belgium in. Hey man, good talk. All right.
Yeah, no, it was.
They wanted your beer. That's nice. Just friends.
That's a good one, yeah.
that to me is what's so cool about this, and LA's growing, and being in Orange County, that's a really growing area too. And you're in Anaheim, technically, and you're right by, like you mentioned, the Honda Center. You're really in this great area.
Yeah, we picked the location because actually we looked at the building, and it's a 10-minute walk to the Honda Center and to Anaheim Stadium, or Angel Stadium.
I call it a stumble, but you do your own thing.
I've done that a couple times.
I'm sure you have.
And then the freeway access. I mean, we have the 57, we have the 5, we have the 22. So our infrastructure of deliveries is going to be a lot easier than somebody off a beaten path up a dirt road kind of thing. So I don't know who's brewing that way, but I'm sure they're out there.
I'm sure they're definitely out there. And how long has this been in the works, like in the Noble works?
Late 2008 has been the idea, yeah.
And has it been a rocky road to sort of get started?
It has been a very rocky road. I mean, it was like anybody else's big story of trying to open a good, well-established businesses. There were growing pains. There were times where I just wanted to stop, not do it. You know, I've actually stopped for a while, for like 3 months. Like, I can't do this. I can't afford it. I'm gonna lose my house, kind of thing. But then the dream at the end, like I just know. I know the end result is going to be bigger, and those 3, kind of take those 3 months away. Right. And the unknown 3 months of me walking away from it would have just killed this whole thing of Noble. And I just couldn't do it. I just know the end result's going to be big for us. So I just have this big confidence in my whole being that we're going to be big. So.
Yeah, I like that. To me, that's part of success, though, is that idea. Because I think the harder you push for something, there's always going to be that moment where you're like, it's overwhelming. Like, can I do this? This is way too much. But for me, that's the point at which people become great, or which they become successful, because they push past that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, I'm a hard worker, and I don't like. I look at some people that kind of just step into it and they just start walking with it. And they don't get me wrong, they do it the right way and they do it their way, and that's. A lot of those people, though, take their hands away from it, and they let the other people kind of go forward with it. And I'm the kind of guy that wants to put my hands on it for as long as I can. Right. And then just to know the product we're getting out there and the way we're running our business and the way dynamic tasting room goes, that kind of stuff I want control of, because I know my vision, my business plan, the thing I wrote, I just know there's success in there. Right. So, and I don't want somebody to take that away from me too soon. So I guess. So
yeah, you can raise your own kid. I mean, there's a reason you got into this. If it was just purely to make money, there's better ways to do it.
Exactly.
I haven't found them, but I hear they're out there. You know, if I could find out how to make money, I'm going to be in this penny-ante operation. I'll tell you that much. I'm kidding. I would still be here. I'd just be demanding more.
You better do.
So what angle did you come at this from? What were you doing beforehand? Obviously, hand modeling. I know that. What else?
There's a little hand modeling, a little ankle bracelet. That kind of stuff, yeah. No, I ran the Newport Beach Brewing Company for a dozen years, and I've always loved beer. Even back in '95 when that opened up, I always loved beer, but I didn't realize how much I really, really loved beer until I got there. And then I brewed with Kirk, the brewer there, who's now down at the beer company at San Diego. That's a plug for Kirk, by the way.
That's nice.
And
very nice man.
It was just weird watching the detail, which I'm a very detail-oriented person, and watching the detail of brewers and the cleanliness of it. And I was always, I bartended for years before that, so my whole organization of keeping myself organized and clean was always in the backbone. And then when I brewed with Kirk, I just kind of really fell in love with it. Their whole strategy at Newport just kind of didn't go with my whole strategy of where I wanted to go. I tried to take their beers out the door, and they were more focused on the restaurant. Right. So I just decided to kind of break away and put a business plan together and start, like most breweries, talk to some friends, try to raise some capital, and then so we did that. And then Tracy, my brewer now, Tracy Simmons, he kind of weird. I think just people say certain things happen for a reason, and this definitely was one of them. He left his business about a week before I left mine in Newport, which is weird. I've known Tracy for years, but we had no idea that we were going to go down this path. It was like he was talking about quitting the business. And I was like, dude, you can't. You make some amazing beer. Yeah. You can't. I mean, I understand that, but what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know yet. And I said, well, I'm doing this. Here's a business plan. Don't want anything, but just look at it.
Well, so, you wanted something.
Yeah,
Here you go. Just let me know what you think.
What happened? I tried to get Kirk from Newport, but he wanted the stability of a job and the paycheck right away. And I'm like, this is going to be a stretch, because you're going to sacrifice.
Much as you're investing, they're investing in you. Yeah. I mean, certainly with the capital of their hard work.
Yeah. So Tracy came back and talked to me. He goes, "What are we doing here? What are you doing here?" And he knew the style of beer that I liked and what I was trying to drive for. And he and I've learned so much more about beer in the last 2 years than I've. 15 years at Newport. It's amazing what that guy knows.
Where did Tracy come from? What was his background?
Omaha Jacks out in Rancho Cucamonga, and he worked at Bayhawk. He actually worked at Red Hook for a while, Backstreet. So
he's been around.
He's been around, yeah. It's crazy because he's one of those guys that knows beer. He wakes up and thinks of beer like most good brewers do. So
I do that. Yeah, mainly because I sleep with one next to me on the pillow. Sweetie. My wife's like, the hell are you doing? Like, never you mind, lady.
Get your head off my shoulder.
Now, you mentioned you talked to Tracy about these are the kind of brews that I want to make. These are the kind of beers that I believe in. Is there a bent to Noble Ale Works? Like, here's the beers we want to make, or are you sort of all over the map? Like, what are you looking to do?
We're sticking with American style, big hop, full body beers. I mean, we really don't even plan to do any Belgian beers. I know that the Belgian sours are big. If we're gonna do that, I kind of want to keep our yeast in house, and I want to keep the Belgian yeast in their house. So we've already talked to Patrick over at the brewery, and we're gonna do collaborations with them. And,
Great.
And for them, they'll do some American style big beers. They want to do the same thing, come over and brew with us.
Hey, why not? While you're here, gotta do something while the mash is,
And then we talked to other brewers like Kyle over at Kern River. He's going to come down and brew with us, and
Nice.
Chuck over at Green Flash talked to him. So
Keeps dropping names. We get it,
well,
people.
only because Chuck Silver from Green Flash is one of my favorite brewers on the planet.
Yeah, we talked to him pretty recently.
And Kyle is the same thing with Kern River. He's an amazing brewer. So
Something
it
about
kind of
those
fits.
gingers.
It kind of fits our style of who we are and who we kind of migrate to. And most breweries do that anyways. They kind of migrate to the style of beers they're doing. So we're sticking to, again, like our first 6 beers we brought out with were all grain, all just no adjuncts in our beers and that kind of stuff. So that's who we are. We're clean beer, big hop, full American guys, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you're not bucking all trends. I noticed there's some barrels back in the
Yeah,
room
we're gonna
there.
start. Well, you kind of have to go that route. Yeah, you have to. So I guess we're not. Yeah, we're gonna go off the path a little bit. We barrel aged our red, Alpha Red.
Which I see is on tap. I'll be tasting that very soon.
It turned out. The good thing about that is a lot of people. A lot of people barrel age beers, and for me personally, I think they leave it in there too long, and they let the bourbon take over the flavor of that beer.
Right.
We don't, and we put that in there for a week and a half, and you still taste the red, and you can taste the hints of the bourbon and the vanilla off the oak, which is actually really nice.
Yeah, I do like that oak component even within, because obviously the spirit itself gives some complexity to it, but I like that there's a reason that it's an oak. There's a reason that the spirit before there was in the oak, and you want to pick up that character
Correct.
as well. And I think that's neat. And there are so many different ways of using the barrels. So every barrel-aged beer, even within the same company, isn't the same.
Correct.
And that's what's exciting.
Yeah.
It's just to see how they evolve and what different things you can do with them, putting them in there.
Yeah.
And you guys do how many sort of everyday brews, or how many beers you?
Out the gate, we came out with 4. Our first beer was the Alpha Red, then we did the IPA, then we did our Pale Ale, and then we did our Dark IPA. And those are pretty much our standard. And then we do a Stout, our Night Changer Imperial Stout, and then we do our Nobility, which are double IPA. Nobility comes out twice a year. I think the Stout is going to be year-round now because it's just, when we bring it out, it's so popular.
Yeah.
As breweries, as most breweries do, you kind of want that demand beer, which will be our double IPA. Planet of the Younger, for instance. Technically they can probably make that almost every day, but they just bring it out.
Well, yeah. It's nice to keep the kid to one day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like don't want to go to Disneyland every day, Make it. Well, you might.
I don't really want to go to Disneyland. I think I'm going over Disneyland until I have a kid, quite frankly. That or until I get a new mushrooms dealer, something like that. Yeah. I'm kidding. My mushrooms dealer's still around. So, and look at the name Noble, which I dig it, although it doesn't fit you precisely. Though your beers, sure. Where did that come from? Is there something behind it, or just random?
Thank God the beers have it, not me. How's that? So that's all I gotta say. No, there's nothing really romantic about the name. We just I took 10 names and threw it to like 20 of our friends through an email list and said, rank your top 10 names.
How many did you do? I'm sorry.
We had 10 different names that we were coming up with. And then Noble actually never made it to number 1. It was always hovering around top 5, top 3 kind of thing from everybody. And then we had met with a guy who branded the Anteater at UCI. And it was such an eye-opening meeting, just hearing this guy talk. And basically he says, everybody's brain has a Google in it. So if you come up with a name and it conjures up an image of something else, you might want to stay away from that because people are going to do the same thing. So we kind of sat there and I was thinking, one of the names I had was Steel Door. We wanted strong, big beers, but Steel Door, I thought of Steelhead. So even though I love Eddie, he's a good brewer over there. He's nothing.
But you want to separate yourself out from that connotation.
So it was those kind of things. And so we were going. We were driving up to Sacramento to look at our system that we have now. And on the drive up there, we had been going at this for 2 months to try to come a name. And I said, we are going up there and we're coming up with a name on this trip. And I told him the only thing I want Ale Works because I'm a down to the grindstone blue collar worker. So I just whatever it is, I don't care. Let's come up with the name as long as you have Ale Works. So we're driving up and we're throwing back names, and all of a sudden, Noble. And then we started thinking Noble hops. The way Noble is. Noble Experiment. Actually, Prohibition was called the Noble Experiment.
Yes.
Even though it's completely opposite of what we are, but it's still beer related.
That's a cool. I had totally forgotten that was the name of that originally.
So we're driving up there. Okay, it's Noble. So Tracy, myself, and my the co-founder Steve, we just, okay, it's Noble. So 10 minutes ago, yeah, Noble, great. And I'm driving and I went, Noble Ale Works. Now that's gonna be hard to say. Should we? It was like instantly, I almost started changing. I said, forget it, because basically after that I started thinking it's Noble Ale Works, but we're gonna be known as Noble. Kind of like it's not. You don't call it Stone Brewing Company. You just call it Stone.
Right.
So one word name is we wanted that whole one word image of just a name going out there, and it's worked.
I think your branding, especially now that you've improved it, really shows that too. That shield logo, and it again, that connotation. You would think Noble, and then you see this, and it makes sense. They come together, and then I like that those other little pieces that are in there. They're sort of clues.
Interactive logo, yeah. That was a big thing, and it's funny because in the holiday season, I take our logo, and in the background, I start changing colors. Like 4th of July, the one quadrant has the stars, and the rest of them have the stripes. So St. Patrick's Day has shamrocks in the background. So it's kind of cool that I can interchange that and still keep the shield there. So that's neat. I mean, it's probably one of the better things I've ever done, except for making kids, but. Well, I don't know about that. But
we'll see. I got to meet your kids. If they're chip off the old block.
They're great.
I'm sure. I like he puts that in. They're great. No, seriously, sweetie. So I dig your beers. What has been sort of the most exciting and the most challenging piece of getting started?
Exciting is the idea and knowing the product that Tracy brews. That's probably the most exciting. The most challenging was the building, the building of this building. I mean, we got the use permit for the taste room to open up. That was pretty easy. We got that. We went to planning commission. It was a straight across 5-0 vote. They gave us whatever we wanted. We have probably longer hours than any tasting room that I know of. I mean, I could be open from 11 in the morning till 1 o'clock at night every day. And there's breweries that only have limited hours, Thursday to Sunday kind of thing. So. And then we have built into our use permit 4 special events in the parking lot that I could put together, which I don't have to go back and apply for those and think I'm going to get them, so they're guaranteed. That was easy, but then when I got to the building part, I kind of, getting into Anaheim's a different city than getting into most cities around. I mean, it's we're dealing with, like you said, Honda Center, Angel Stadium, and Disneyland. So we're dealing with high profile construction. So, I mean, you go there to the city and pull permits, and I mean, you're looking at Disney has a secured guy that goes to the city, pulls permits for the plant. So it was a little bit different than what I thought it was going to be. It's one of those things that I'm glad I'm in Anaheim. The building was tough, but I think the end result's going to be superior, way bigger than I thought it was going to be, actually.
Well, we're looking at the result now, and as we'll look at the brewery and taste the beers here in a second, I think the proof is in the pudding, and I wish you well, man. Mazel tov. It's exciting. Always good to have good beer out there.
It's good, and this industry is amazing. Great people like you guys are. I mean, that's probably one of the bigger key points right now in my life, is like going out and going.
Meeting me is one of the key points in this life.
Meeting him personally.
You're supposed to drink after this, not before, you realize.
That's right.
All right, Jerry, let's go drink some beers, my man.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Got some beers. Got 5 of them. Yep. By no means everything that you make, but I would say 5 is a good number to go with. And take me through each of these. Kind of talk about as much as you want to, but then more than that, let's get to drinking them.
I like the way you were thinking. First one we have from left to right, we have our Alpha Red. I think I alluded earlier that our red was our first beer that we brewed. It's an Imperial Red Ale, hopped up. Basically big malted, nice hop at the end, nice clean, hops kind of clean it up at the end. It's a nice clean finish. Good thing I like about this red is there's a lot of malty reds out there that kind of sweeten up at the end, and they just don't finish well. And what Trace does is his hops, and the way he uses them, his additions are amazing, so you get your malt in the body, and at the end it just cleans up really well. So you'll probably be able to taste that right now.
Oh, really nice hop presence, and I get sort of a is that caramel through the middle? Like, what am I getting?
His
nice malty character, but it's not that overly sweet.
No, a little caramel malt, and he's got some just a little bit of chocolate malt in there just for color. So just a tiny bit, much so. But
it's good, and it does have that. I don't want to say that super dry finish where it like sort of fatigues the palate, but it's nice, and it isn't that crazy sweet. And this to me is the kind of like red that I dig. What's the ABV on it?
7.2.
Wow.
Yeah. So hope you ate your Cheerios.
Yeah, man, that's really, really nice. I will be stealing this glass as I leave, and a lot of other stuff too. So if it's not nailed down, Tracy's coming with me.
Tracy, get the drill gun.
So moving on.
The next one in line is the Dark Sibian IPA. Basically, it's the Cascadian Black Ales came out, and then Tracy and I were talking about brewing a black IPA. And we did a pilot batch here, and we brewed the first one on a little homebrew system. And we thought it turned out pretty good, and it did. It turned out great. What Tracy did is he went then to Seattle and just took a trip up there and just tasted black IPAs the whole trip. Came back and realized...
Tough gig.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe what he did. He came back and told me what he wanted to change, and okay, I'm going to put some toasted malt in, I'm going to change the hop additions, and that beer went from being good to, I feel, being great now. There's a lot hoppier dark IPAs, but this one is actually such a well-balanced, you get the roastiness from the malt, and then the hop finish at the end.
Now, in terms of brewing, ooh, that's really nice. In terms of brewing a dark IPA, you sort of mentioned the hoppiness and that balance. Like, what is it? What are the things you really need to focus on to sort of take it from being sort of an also-ran to something extraordinary? What are the real things you need to focus on?
I mean, it's just like any brewing. Your temperature is a big thing, obviously. Your hop, to me, hop additions are also big.
Right. But is it about, in terms of, I guess, maybe a malt profile, are you focusing more like on your sort of base malts, and then it's a lot of color, or are you using roasted malts?
No, we use a midnight wheat malt from Breeze, and not a lot of people use that. So the first out, they're starting to use it now, but that was the flavor we got out of that malt was amazing. I mean, it was.
That is a delicious. I actually tasted that last week when I was in Chicago, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice. I can see how that would work great.
So that's where, and it gives a little bit, the wheat malt gives us that head retention, that kind of stuff. So it's
and it's got a nice body to it though. So again, I feel like that keeps from those hops sort of overpowering it. It's there, but it's nice and balanced. So that's good. What do we got next?
I think you have the.
I have the IPA, but you're the one who put them out for me.
Okay, I put yours correct. Incorrect on my half.
Our
IPA is a typical West Coast style IPA. 6.8, 6.6 ABV on this one. There's guys that this is Tracy's kind of claim to fame is his IPA back in the day. That and the red, and one of the better IPAs I've ever had is ours.
I should hope so.
Not to brag, but I mean it's amazing.
I've never heard anybody, and I'm glad nobody's ever gone. It's kind of meh. It's all right. It's easily top 25 I've had, but.
Yeah, it's a great beer, and the color is great. Balance of malt is great.
It's it's interesting, like being obviously California and obviously part of that West Coast and doing an IPA. Are you acutely aware of like that's such a competitive market, and your IPA, even though it's not necessarily your flagship, it's always going to be looked at within that prism.
It's fun. It's funny you say because now you have breweries that are doing IPAs now that don't do IPAs normally, and they're becoming the best-selling beers that they make.
Right.
It's weird. So yeah, no matter what, it's the buzz on IPA was great. The hop shortage kind of put the buzz in there. People, the public got aware there was a hop shortage, and they attribute that to IPAs and stuff. So there's a helicopter flying. There's there's still the buzz for IPAs out there, no matter what you do and who you are. If you do a good one, great. And there's some good and bad ones out there, as you know. So, like I said, I think ours is completely. We do a nice balance from the very beginning to the end of that beer. Some people put too much hop forward on it, so you're getting all those hops in the front and then nothing in the back. And ours, like I said, starts good and ends even better. So.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
or the career.
Yeah. Is that over yet? Please. Poor bastard. And by that I mean people have watched the movies.
Okay, the next one you have here in your hand is our barrel-aged Alpha Red.
Is this the first of the barrel-aged beers you've done?
This is our very first barrel-aged beer we've done, yes, correct. We took a Heaven Hill bourbon barrel and aged it for 10 days, about 10 days in the barrel. Again, you're tasting our beers, and you're tasting the malt balance and the hop balance. What we don't want to do is have the bourbon overpower the beer, so we don't want to leave it there too long and let too much of that flavor take over with the beer flavor. So you can still taste that Alpha Red, but you're tasting the hints of the bourbon and the vanilla.
You do, and it's interesting. And a lot of barrel-aged beers, and I think some of that will have to come from being a more higher gravity beer too, but they come out and they have that heat to them. So it's sort of like that first sip you're almost drinking the spirit. Where here it's the hint of bourbon. You get the flavor of bourbon as opposed to that sort of heat and overpowering, and then you do get that vanilla, and that oak really does come through. And this, does that knock up the gravity at all in terms of, or the alcohol in terms of putting in the barrel?
A bit, a little bit, but we haven't quite measured that one. What happened is we, earlier, our first batch here was the pale yesterday, so we were kind of looking back at our brewing notes on this one. really remember what our starting gravity was
Right.
on this one. So we'll as we start brewing,
Who
we'll
needs
just-
notes?
Yeah. Does it taste good? You like it? Drink it.
Can't repeat it, but whatever. So last one, and thank you for opening this. I know it wasn't on tap, but
Yeah.
you were kind enough to.
Nobility is our double IPA. It's one of those flagship beers you come out with twice a year. Ours is twice a year. It's biannual. So we it's an all grain double IPA. We don't add any rock candy to kick up the alcohol. It's about 8.5, 8.6. It's one of the more clean double IPAs I've ever had. You know,
I'm sorry, where'd this end up?
8.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That is really, really like clean and dangerous. Dare
yeah,
I
we
say.
citro hops in this one, so we dry hopped it 3 times a citro.
Good luck
so
getting more of those. That's.
I think I have a line on one, by the way.
Do you
Yeah.
really? I'm gonna make a call.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I gotta have you make a call for me then, maybe. Wow, really nice. So I'm gonna have you real quick because we gotta wrap up.
Of course.
Daddy gotta be somewhere. What's your favorite of your beers?
Favorite of our beers. We don't have it. Well, it's either the Nobility or the Night Changer Stout, which we don't have today. But the Nobility on this line, the Nobility is probably my favorite. I'm a hophead.
Yeah, me too. I think it's just where we live and everything. Well, Jerry, I cannot thank you enough for having us out here and giving us the free beer. It is free. Yeah. We'll check with the waitress.
Do I get that iPhone?
Sure. But cheers to you and
Thank you, buddy.
many noble good years.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.